You know, in a world that's always telling you to specialize, to pick one thing and stick to it, what if the real secret to success is to be good at two things? Well, we're about to dive into the pre-counterintuitive philosophy of advertising legend Rory Sutherland, and it all kicks off with this one really powerful idea.
So that's it. That's the core idea right there. It's not about being a jack of all trades, master of none. Nope, it's about creating a unique combination of skills, a blend that makes you incredibly valuable in a way that no one else is. So let's meet the guy who really champions this way of thinking.
This is Rory Sutherland. Now, his job at one of the biggest ad agencies in the world isn't really about moving mountains or creating physical things. It's about untangling the messy, complicated knots of the human mind. He solves problems by changing how we see things, not by changing reality itself. And honestly, his own career is the perfect example of his philosophy in action.
And that brings us to the first huge takeaway from his work. Just forget the traditional career path. Seriously. Sutherland argues that trying to map out your entire professional life from start to finish is basically an illusion.
And this question, man, this probably causes a lot of anxiety for people, right? We're all told to have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. But what if that messy resume, the one that jumps around between different experiences, what if that's actually your greatest strength? Sutherland's own life story offers some pretty compelling evidence.
I mean, just look at this for a second. At first glance, this is a total disaster. He was named the worst trainee the company had ever hired. He got fired from his department. He had to reapply to his own company just to get back in. But this chaotic, totally nonlinear path is exactly what propelled him to the very top.
And here's why that messy path is so important today. He calls rigid career planning a pretense. And why? Well, think about it. So many jobs we see today, like a head of content or social media strategist, they literally did not exist a couple of decades ago. I mean, how can you possibly plan for a job that hasn't even been invented yet?
So the really crucial point here is this. Embracing a little bit of randomness isn't a failure to plan. It's actually a strategy. It builds your versatility. It gives you a much broader toolkit of skills and perspectives to pull from when those jobs of the future finally show up.
Okay, so if messy careers are a good thing, how does that change the way we hire people, right? How do you build a team that actually thrives on all that diverse experience? Well, Sutherland has a fascinating take on this too. He points out this huge kind of weird paradox in modern recruitment. The more we try to make hiring fair and methodical and rigorous, by applying the exact same checklist to every single person, the more we end up hiring the exact same type of person.
The goal is fairness, of course, but the result is a team of clones. We end up filtering for conformity. And in that process, we accidentally filter out all the unique talent and diverse thinking that leads to any real innovation.
So if you don't hire for conformity, what do you hire for? Well, for Sutherland, it all boils down to one thing above everything else: curiosity. He says a fundamental lack of curiosity is an absolute deal breaker for any creative role. It's the engine that drives all new ideas. And this really is the bottom line when it comes to building a team. That mix of different people with all their messy backgrounds and varied skills, that's not just some nice-to-have thing. It is absolutely essential to how a creative organization actually works and succeeds.
Okay, so we've got this essential mix of diverse, curious people. Now what? How do you actually unlock their potential? How do you get them to produce those brilliant ideas? Well, this is where we get into the psychology of creativity. And again, Sutherland's take is refreshingly counterintuitive.
I love this. He suggests that there's this incredible connection between, idleness and ingenuity. Instead of just jumping in and trying to solve a problem with brute force, a clever and lazy person will first try to find a more elegant, simpler, and often way more creative solution. It's all about working smarter, not just harder.
But to find that elegant solution, you need to experiment. And that means you have to create a culture where it is safe to be wrong. As Sutherland bluntly puts it, you have to have some shit ideas. Because if people are afraid to make stupid suggestions, they'll never, ever make brilliant ones either.
Now, get ready for this, because this idea kind of flips our whole understanding of decision-making on its head. We love to think we're these rational beings who reason things out and then act. But Sutherland argues that a lot of the time, the reality is the total opposite. We act on instinct, and our conscious mind just comes up with a good story afterwards to explain why we did it.
So, if our brains are wired up that way, can we use it to our advantage? Absolutely. This final section is all about turning these psychological insights into a practical tool for hacking your own priorities.
This is such a powerful concept. We can't just will ourselves to care about something new. Our feelings about what's important are often automatic. They just happen. But the one thing we absolutely can control is where we choose to focus our attention. That's our lever.
And that turns into a simple 3-step hack. First, you consciously choose a new area of focus. Then, step 2, you deliberately and consistently direct your attention there. And over time, this is the magic part, you can actually rewire what your brain automatically thinks is important. You can literally change what matters to you.
So, let's pull all of this together. Be good at a unique combination of 2 things. Embrace the messy, random nature of your career path. Stay relentlessly curious. Create a space where bad ideas are not just allowed, but encouraged. And remember, you can change what you care about simply by changing where you look. That brings us to the end. So the final question is really for you. It's not about what your job title is, it's about what your unique combination of skills could be. What are the 2 interconnected things that you can be great at?